Hello everybody, welcome to this video today. It's been quite a while since I've done a full facial video for you, and we are here on our YouTube channel, and today I am going to be doing a full video. I'm hoping I will not have to stop this video, that we can just keep going so you can see just how I do a treatment here. So here we go, I'm gonna get ready to get going. When I touch my stool to adjust my height, I like to use a towel so that once I start my facial, keeping your hands clean is really important. Now, if you are somebody that does not have a sink in your suite, then what you can do is you could use something just like alcohol wipes and then get a warm towel out of your hot cabbie to remove the alcohol from your hand. But throughout your treatment, when you're touching different things, you always want to be making sure that you are keeping your hands clean. Having a sink is fantastic, but because I'm filming today, I'm not going to be getting up too much, and I am actually going to be using alcohol wipes myself in between to just show you how to be clean, you know, when you're doing a treatment. So the same when you go to touch anything, I usually use a tissue when I go to turn on my steamer, or if I'm adjusting my seat, I'm going to use a clean, like a tissue or a towel. And that's what I'm going to be putting down here to up my seat. So you do want to be mindful of that. It's important to keep your hands clean. So I've got a double layer here on my model's head, towel, another one, a tighter one around the rim here, just to protect the hairline, and we're going to get started. My model has a light coat of sunblock on her face. She's not wearing any eye makeup today, but I am going to go around the eye area and clean it off anyway, as we get a lot of bacteria around the line of the eyelashes there. I'm using my cleanser, which is my Confidence Cleanser. It's a beautiful, beautiful cleanser that really helps to exfoliate the skin in a mild way, but it's also really wonderful for people that tend to be sensitive, maybe have a little bit of rosacea, all of these things. And as we, know, sort of coming into the cooler months right now, people are more dry and they're more sensitive. I am filming this in November, and I'm in the United States in Los Angeles, and it is very windy here this time of year, and it's this time of year that is more drying on the skin than the winter months, because in the winter months we have more moisture in the air and we do not have the winds as bad as we do, especially here in Los Angeles. This is a time where we have a lot of wind, and it gets to be very, very drying on the skin, on the face, on the body. So it's important to make sure you're using a very gentle cleanser, because cleansing is 50% of your regimen. I say this all the time. It is very, very important that you prepare the slate, being the skin, in a way that it makes it more easier, right? Easier to take in the serums and the treatment products after that. So, you want to make sure that you set up a slate that keeps the skin still dewy and pretty after cleansing. You don't want to do anything drying on the skin that's going to create irritation or dryness, because that irritation on the skin is not going to allow you to maybe do something later on in your treatment that could be important, like an alpha hydroxy acid, something where you want to go a little bit stronger, because now you've found an areas of her face that you want to treat, that need something a little bit more active and something that's going to really help you know, get the skin to that next level. So, okay, we've cleansed off once here, and I'm just going to do around the eye a little bit just to show you how to cleanse up here before we do our exfoliant. So right now, sometimes I use cotton rounds, and at the moment I'm using these very small little gauze pads, and I like them because I can stretch them. I use them as eye pads. They're thin, they're really great. And so what you do is I like to dampen them slightly to do my cleanse. So I put a little bit of the cleanser on here right now. We're going to dampen the pad a little bit here. And we're just going to cleanse around the eye area. And you're doing very gently around the eyes because the eye area is a sensitive area, a very delicate eye area. Now I've got a couple of little pads in the hot cabbie here. I've just dampened these ones off here again, slightly warmer pad from my towels in the hot cabbie. So I've just dampened these off again, just as another little extra cleanse to make sure that we're really sort of cleaning off this eye area well, as my first cleanse was from my little bowl here. So we're just doing another little cleanse with a very clean pad here, just to go over the eye area. Okay, so we're nice and clean around the eyes. I have done one cleanse, which is what I do in my treatment, unless somebody's wearing a lot of makeup, because my exfoliant now is going to be really like my second cleanse. So, you know, I want to just make sure I've got a nice clean slate here, and we're ready to sort of move on from that. Okay, I'm going to put some goggles over the eyes, and I just want to bring the light over here and have a look at her skin before we go on any further here. Now what we have got, Jane has a really good skin, and this is my model today. So she's not surface dry, which is so great to see, because I know in the past when I've seen her, we've really got her skin so beautiful. And she's really sort of on top of making sure she's doing her regular treatments at home, meaning her regular skincare regimen, which is fantastic. And we are looking at here a really good, healthy skin, and it's so pretty. She has, you know, slightly open pores. We want to be working on that. She's got a few little burst blood vessels around the sides of the nose there, which can easily be zapped from a dermatologist if they bothered her. Those ones can go very, very quickly and easy, and that's those burst blood vessels right there on the sides of the nose. But really good skin, very, very healthy. It just is fantastic. A little bit of minimal extractions, which I'll be doing later, but my model here is really on top of her regimen, and she's doing a beautiful job of taking care of her skin at home, which makes me super, super happy. Again, a few little sort of areas here down by the chin, a little bit of cuperose down there where we've got those visible blood vessels down there. So it's really important for her to use a product that helps support those capillaries. And in the Rejuve line, it would be the Q-flavonoid, because that is a bioflavonoid complex with arnica, vitamin K, vitamin P. It really helps support blood vessels, and this is a really important thing to have. But really, really pretty skin, as I said, and just so healthy, which makes me super, super happy. So that is our analysis there today. I'm just going to get on with my treatment. This is my exfoliating mask. Now, as I said to you, I only cleanse unless somebody's wearing a lot of makeup, and Jane's was just a very light sunblock that she had on her face. And this is now going to be my, like a second cleanse, right? Because what it is my exfoliating mask, my healing gel, and I'm mixing the two together, which kind of buffers back my exfoliating mask a little bit, so it makes it not too aggressive on the skin. And I do this very, very often. Mixing the two together. The nice thing about, you know, having an exfoliant that you can add something to it to buffer it back so that it's not too aggressive, as sometimes a more sensitive skin, you don't want to be using an exfoliant that has got a big high AHA or a low pH, because it's going to be very strong on the skin, and you need that versatility to be able to treat more sensitive skins, but still be able to exfoliate their skin and know that you're not going to be irritating the skin in any way, because the last thing you want to do is do something too strong in the beginning of your treatment, because then that stops future progress in possibly, you know, other things that you'd like to do when it's more beneficial, like an alpha hydroxy acid a little bit later after you've done extraction. So this is a really nice way to be able to just exfoliate the skin lightly and be able to do a beautiful job here. Okay, I've taken 2 towels out of my hot cubby. This is a washcloth, smaller towel, and I'm using the washcloths here today. Sometimes I use my sponges and water, but I'm trying not to get up too much so I can just keep this video going for you. You want to cool it down. You do not want the towels to be too hot, because the exfoliating mask has got a little glycolic in it, but it also has the papaya enzyme, lemon peel powder, chamomile. It's a beautiful exfoliant, and you just want to make sure that you are using something nice to clean off the skin from the exfoliant, but it's not too hot. You certainly don't want to be activating and causing any irritation, being that there's a glycolic acid inside the exfoliant. So this one here is not a really strong exfoliant, but it could be if I used it just as the product itself and not mixing it with the healing gel. So as you can see, the exfoliant's coming off onto the towel. I flipped the towels over and I'm just cleaning off. Now, when you use towels on the face, the bottom of the towel here is touching the towel where the head is, and this can make the towel underneath wet. So you do need to be very careful and mindful of this. Very often when I have a towel wrapped over here, protecting this here is a sheet under here, and there's a blanket under the sheet that's kind of wrapped in and folded over. Now this also is an area that gets wet when you're cleaning off the face. So I put a towel here so that it allows me to move my towel around or even flip my towel, so that you don't want wetness on your client, because your client can feel everything. And the same here, if you have wetness from a towel, then what I can do is fold the towel down here between the shoulders and this towel, which allows it not to be too wet. So sometimes in the beginning of a treatment, I usually prefer to use sponges to take off my exfoliant, just because it's going to allow my towel to be less wet, right? Because, you know, later on I will definitely be using towels. So, but you do have the option of putting this here to keep the you know, the shoulders away from the wet towel. That it's going to get wet because the towels do touch everything, including around the rim here of the face line. So we've got a clean skin. I'm using healing gel. This is mostly aloe vera based. about 97%. And it's one of my most favorite products because it is just fantastic. I use it all the time throughout a facial. It's a Rejuvi product. It's called the Healing Gel, and it's just a lifesaver. It's wonderful to use after waxing as well. It's just wonderful after a sunburn, and anybody who's sensitive with psoriasis, eczema, dermatitis, rosacea, heat, inflammation in the skin. It is just a wonderful product and a great base product. A lot of my clients use it at home on a daily basis, especially if they tend to be a little bit more oily. It's just a fantastic product. So I put one coat all over the face here now of the Healing Gel. I'm going to be using steam on my model today because my model does not have heat and inflammation in the skin, which is such a blessing because so many people have so much inflammation in their skin in today's world. So it's really great to see somebody that doesn't, and it allows me to be able to use my steam a little bit, which I love when I can use it. That's great. So we've got the Healing Gel on. I'm now going to go on, I like to use everything disposable as much as I possibly can, because I am a busy esthetician working, and the less I can clean in the way of having to clean, I would prefer to throw things out after each client. So my little sponges here, everything is disposable. This is how my sponges come. They come in packs of 24, and they're little discs like this until you put them in water, and then they become a beautiful sponge. But I use as much disposable as possible because I am somebody that doesn't have, an enormous amount of time to clean up in between clients sometimes, and just making a beautiful bed with all fresh linens, wiping over everything with alcohol before my next client, using my eucalyptus spray, which is what I use a lot throughout my treatment room. It also does kill off some things, so this is 100% eucalyptus. It's just a beautiful, beautiful product. It's sourced from Australia, and I absolutely love it. So again, right now I'm going to use an alcohol wipe, and I'm just going to use it on my hands, which, as I said, is not my preference. I prefer to be washing my hands at the sink, but because I'm doing a video here and my light and camera is right by where I get up, it makes it a little bit more difficult. I am using an alcohol wipe, wiping my hands, going to get a warm towel out of the hot cabbie, and then just get that alcohol off my hands before I now go to put it on my client. So that's what I'm doing here now. All right, so that is the next thing. Okay, we have the Healing Gel on. The next product I'm going to be putting on my model, I'm going to use a little bit of my Q-flavonoid. It comes in 2 sizes. As you can see, my larger size is almost out, so I've got it turned upside down. We're going to use the 1 ounce. And I'm just putting this amount here onto my hand. I love the Q-flavonoid. I talked about this a moment ago. It is an incredible bioflavonoid complex. This product you can use around the eyes. So I've already put some eye gel around her eyes to start with. But often I would put a little bit of the Q on first, and then the eye gel, just to help. It's a fantastic serum, and it really helps support thinner, more sensitive skins that maybe have rosacea, capillaries, as we spoke about. So I really want to make sure these areas where she has a few little visible blood vessels, that we are putting it on well here. But generally, I'm putting it on the whole face anyway. But it is a product that you can totally use around the eyes. So you'll see me use this a lot in all my treatments that I do. It's just a fantastic product, and I absolutely love it. And the eye areas are very delicate areas, so there's not much when it comes to product that you can use around the eyes. Only an eye product, because an eye product is made for, it's an eye product's made, it's more refined, the molecules are more refined because the skin texture is thinner there, and it's also, as you can see, when you often stretch this skin, you can see that there's bluey sort of veins close to the surface there, because it is a thinner skin, this orbital area around the eyes. Now what I have is I have my retinoid formula. I have added it to the rest of my Q-flavonoid. I'm going to be using that. This is, again, one of my most favorite products of the Rejuvi line. Absolutely love it. You'll see me using it a lot because it really helps brighten the skin. It helps if someone has larger pores, if they have post scarring, and it's great for wrinkles. It's just fantastic for everything, and it's not a really strong product, so if somebody's sensitive, you can totally still use it on them. So I'm going to be putting this on the skin next here. We're putting it above the lip. You want to always be mindful of people having little lines above the lip. Not that my model has lines above her lip, but it is important to remember that this is an area here that needs to be treated and not forgotten about. The other area here is by the 11s, here between the eyebrows. We always want to be mindful that this is an area that we need to treat, and all wrinkles. So when you see me working in my serums, you're going to see me doing my working in of my product in a lot of different angles, because you want to always get to the base of a wrinkle. That's really important. So we are doing that here today. Okay. So as I said, I'm using steam. I'm turning my steamer on. Now, as I said, you can use a clean tissue to just flick that button to push it in. I'm actually going to be using my knuckle, which is what I do when I'm doing that very often. But if I'm going to be adjusting my volume of steam, I'm going to grab a tissue and use it, because it requires a little bit more effort, and I would feel more comfortable doing it that way. Or if I'm going to be moving my steamer closer to my face, I'm going to be grabbing a tissue, grabbing my steamer over here, which I know you can't see in this video, but I'm holding it and pulling it in over a little closer to the face. And my steamer brand is EquiPro. It's all my equipment, my beautiful bed, my trolley, my lights, everything that I use is EquiPro. It's a brand from Canada. It is they're an amazing company, and I am just thrilled to have found them. They're very reasonable, their equipment's beautiful. The bed that I use is fantastic, and okay, here we go. So I have all my products on the face of my model. So I'm now going to be putting on my hydrating mask. And this again is what I use as my massage cream, okay? And this is it here. It is a fantastic product because it doesn't dry hard. What it does is how it's absorbed into the skin and how it hydrates the skin is just really fantastic. So we are now going to be doing the massage. Now I know a lot of you in America, you were taught to do your extractions next and then do your massage after your extractions. And I am originally from Australia, and where I studied over 45 years ago, in 1978 was when I graduated beauty school. I went to a French school in Australia that did believe in a lot of massage, which I am super grateful. It was a fantastic school, and I'm very grateful to have had my training from there. But we did a lot of massage, and so the massage is really important, and I understand its importance in how it stimulates muscle tone and brings oxygen to the blood by doing that. And when you are moving and massaging the skin, you are definitely creating contractions and movement, which is what just really helps the lymphatic system be more healthy. So we want to always be massaging our skin. Now, I massage my client before extractions because that is what makes sense to me. And everything I do in my treatment room has to make sense to me for my client. So in other words, if you're doing your extractions first and then you go to do your massage after you've cleaned out a pore, That doesn't make sense to me. The only thing I do after my extractions is put on my treatment product to help stimulate the collagen elastin, to help the pore size, you know, contract, and you can absolutely close pores, not completely, but you can really help tighten them up when you start doing AHAs on the skin. Now, they make a huge difference. And I know a lot of people say, well, you can't change a pore size, but that is so incorrect. It's, I have been doing this for so long, and when people would first come to me with orange peel skin, in fact, my model here that I'm working on now, if you go back, whether you go back to some videos on my Instagram, you will see where my model skin used to be before, and her pore size was much, much, much larger than it is now. And this has been 6 weeks since I've seen my model. So, you know, it's not like they look nice and tight just for a day or two after a facial. They stay that way as long as your clients are using actives on their skin on a daily basis at home. They have to be using products that are going to stimulate the fibroblast cells to keep the collagen and elastin working beautifully. And that is going to be your alpha hydroxy acid, your glycolic, your lactic, malic, tartaric, citrus, mandelic, azelaic acids. They are all acids that are under the heading of alpha hydroxy acids. They all come from different sources, and they are something that really, they're all different molecular size and weight, and they go to different levels in the skin. So when you're using something like that, and especially if you can use a complex of an acid, meaning your product has got more than 1 or 2 AHAs in there, then you are working on many different levels of the skin. And what's going to happen is you're going to keep the skin really firm and beautiful, as my model skin is here right now. It's just fantastic. It feels great. It's firm to work with, and that's because she is on a good home care regimen, using AHAs on her skin on a regular basis. And retinoids are very similar. You know, they have a different structure, but there is, you know, all your different A products as well. Your retinoic acid, your retinol, your A1, your A2, your acetates, your palmitates, vitamin A. These are all the different molecules of your vitamin A, and that also goes to different levels in the skin. They're also different molecular size and weight. And when you are building a good, healthy skin, you need a structure to be healthy. I give this example often. I talk about a house, and I say when you are building a house, you cannot just have a strong roof. You have to have strong walls and a strong base. It's the same with skin. You want your levels to be strong and healthy, and that means you need to be using products that are going to help stimulate those fibroblast cells. But the more molecules of different size and weight of an alpha hydroxy acid or retinoids, the better your skin is going to be. So it's really important that you understand this, and that's how a pore will stay smaller in size. So when people say you can't change a pore size, I will say that is absolutely incorrect. And I know a lot of people will argue that point, but I have seen it and witnessed it my entire aesthetics life, which is 45 years, and that's a really long time. So I therefore feel I can absolutely say it with enormous confidence, because it's true. So there you go. That's today's big lesson here. Understanding skin is really important. Now I'm going to move the steamer on. I'm just working this in. This is not my full-on massage here, but I am just working this in. I'm going to be grabbing a little bit more on my hands. I'm going to be moving my steamer in and putting a little steam. So now I have my tissue. As I said, we're bringing it over. I'm grabbing the arm of the steamer also with my tissue, so I'm not touching anything. because I don't want to be touching anything and going to her face. Now, the other thing I will tell you is that when you are touching the face, and if you, for some reason, go to the scalp and massage the hair, you do not go back to the face. Once you finish the face, you can then move on to the scalp. But do not go from the scalp back over to the face, because it's not hygienic. It really is something that I've seen a lot in videos, and it's not okay to be doing that. So my steamer that I'm using, as I mentioned, the brand is EquiPro. It has 3 different temperatures of steam force. This one is the highest. I could lower it another 2 more if I wanted just a very, very light steam on the face. We know that when it comes to steaming the skin, you do not want to have it where the skin starts to perspire, because if the skin starts to get really wet, which quickly can happen, right, then the skin is going to start to dehydrate. So you do not want a skin to dehydrate and get the skin really wet. It's not good to do that. And so, you know, someone who has a more oily skin that has no surface dehydration, it is more understandable to heat up the skin before extractions, especially when somebody does not have inflammation or other delicate areas that you don't want the skin to be too wet. So this is also very important. Sometimes when somebody has, you know, false eyelashes on or eyelash extensions, they don't like you using steam. So you just sort of need to be mindful of, I don't always use steam, as you know, if you've watched other videos of mine on Instagram especially. You'll absolutely see me not using steam a lot, because a lot of people have inflammation, and depending on the skin, I'm not going to use it, especially with rosacea and dermatitis and other skin irritations, that it's just not recommended. Okay, so usually when I go to start my massage, I've worked it all in, and now I'm going over. Now this part of the face and the neck down here is really important to pay attention to, because especially if someone wears their hair up a lot, this area down here gets a lot of sun. So you want to make sure that you're really working these areas. And a lot of the time, the clients are also using sunblock everywhere. I did not do a really big cleanse on her décolleté and around here. But, you know, as I said, sometimes, especially in the summer months, and if somebody's wearing their hair up and they're using sunblock, you want to sort of start with your cleanse, doing all those areas there as well. The neck is an area that is real bothersome to a lot of people, including myself, being in my 60s. It's important to work the neck. And you'll see me use my knuckles a lot, and you'll see me work somebody's neck. My model's neck is really beautiful. It's not one that is of great concern here. But I do just want to show you some things that you can do. Now I like doing a lot of work around the eye area because the eyes get very sluggish and they get grey and tired looking very easy. My model's eyes are just great, but I do remember back in the day where she had a lot of colour around her eyes, and she doesn't have that same colouring anymore. So movement is medicine, and you really need to always be mindful of you know, massaging this area and really getting movement in here, because this is an area that really needs movement, especially if someone is doing Botox. You know, as we get older, doing Botox up around this area up here between the 11s. Sometimes they'll do out here a little bit and maybe up in the forehead, but because it creates so much stillness, there's not that circulation, that contraction, which is what helps keep the skin healthy, that muscle movement. And Botox is not, it stops movement. It's botulism, it creates something that really like paralyzes the muscle. And then with muscle, paralyzing the muscle, you can get atrophy. So it's very important that you are constantly moving and massaging the face. It's very, very important, especially it's going to help you with the color of the skin and just really be much healthier. So it's very important you massage around the eyes. It really just, when I do a facial on somebody that has darker eyes, this area around the eye, this orbital area around the eye, when it's darker or gray looking almost, just one facial and massaging the eye area can improve the coloring 20 or 30%. It makes such a difference. So it's really nice to make sure that when you're doing your treatment, that you're putting time and effort into this, and just sort of pay attention to the muscles around the eye and where you're putting your pressure. It's an area you want to be mindful of when you're putting on your eye products, because you don't want to put too much around the eyes and have it be irritating to your model's eyes. So you've got to be very careful where you put your eye products, that you're not getting it too close to the tear ducts. A lot of people have very sensitive eyes, and some people wear contact lenses, and you need to be mindful of all of this. It's very, very important. My model has a more oily skin, so you know, it's important. She really manages it beautifully and keeps it under control. But it's just, you know, it's important to understand that when you have an oily skin type, that's what you're born with. That doesn't really change, dries up a little bit as you get older, that oil activity. But you certainly want to be using things that are just going to help constantly keep those pore size small, keep the skin nice and bright in texture, and be using things that are going to really help her skin to heal quickly when she gets pimples. And I know my model still gets an occasional pimple, and so it's important. And her skin is so healthy. It's just incredible, actually. You know, when, as an esthetician working on somebody's skin and massaging the skin, you feel a lot, and of course you see a lot, because we have a brilliant, you know, Maggie lamp to be able to look at the skin closely. And when you understand skin, like I understand skin, it's something I've studied basically my whole life. And so for over 40 years, working with people and seeing the change you can make from a great facial is really fantastic. So I'm such a huge fan of what I do and the work that, you know, estheticians, what we can do on the skin long term. It's very important that you understand what your canvas is that you're working on, what skin type, what are their subconditions, and you're doing things, you're doing your treatment to, you know, according to your client's skin. Customizing your treatment, using the products that are right for your client is very, very important. So it's something to really study and understand, is the skin. And if you want to understand more about the skin, I have a whole course online which is called the 5-Star Method, and that is something that is my life's work. It's called the 5-Star Method, as I said. It's my life's work. There is hours and hours of video content. It covers the 5 basic and most important steps of being a 5-star esthetician, and that is skin analysis, it's the treatment and preparation, it's education, and it's the home care regimen, to be able to recommend and know how to do that for your clients. So it is a very comprehensive training. I have webinars in that training, which are all included in the course. It's a one-time fee, a lifetime access, and that is webinars. My webinars are on different types of acne, food-related acne, hormonal acne, extractions, massage, iridology. These are some of my webinars, and I also have a new one I'm doing in January. And my webinar that I'm doing in January is about doing facial treatments, the 30-minute and the 60-minute facial. It talks about how you do a treatment when your client comes in late and they no longer have that 60 minutes that they booked. They've now only got 40 minutes because they're 20 minutes late to you. So it shows you how you manage and how you can do an amazing treatment even when your client is late, how you talk to them, how you recommend products to them when you are pushed for time. And this is an important thing. And in a 30-minute facial, what your charging calendar looks like when it comes to a 30-minute as opposed to a 60, and just all the different steps that you can do in your treatment, your facial treatment, what's really needed, what's important when you are on a time crunch. This is very, very important to be able to know with confidence what it is you have to do when you have a busy day and you're booked back to back, and yet you're still able to customize your treatment. So you're going to watch me do 4 different models, and we are doing 30 and 60-minute facials of different skin types. You're going to see me perform that in the next webinar coming out in January 24. So you can book for that one through educateyourskin.com. I think it's 5-Star Method, or myneradajoy.com, but it is on there. They're all somewhat connected. If you are wanting to purchase any of the Rejuvi products here, wholesale, if you're in a salon, you can go on to educateyourskin.com, set up a pro account. There are certain products that I talk about a lot. We have a full resource center on educateyourskin.com. There's over 30 videos on there that you can watch, me talking about the different products for different skin types. That is at educateyourskin.com, and you have access to that when you set up a pro account. It doesn't cost money to set up a pro account, but you are able to get your products at wholesale there, and also have a whole resource center to be able to watch me talk about different products and ingredients and so on. So that's a very helpful tool for all of you. But anyway, education has been very important to me in my business. It's something that I talk about, skin, all the time. I talk about what it takes to be a 5-star esthetician, to not be lazy, to all the things that you need to be doing if you want to build a business and be successful. And this is a very important part of being a 5-star esthetician. And 5-star esties, we're needed out there, because a lot of people talking about skin today, a lot of them don't really know exactly what they're talking about. People haven't studied skin like we have studied skin, and it's such an important thing to understand, to be able to keep your client's skin pretty as they age. You want to really understand and be able to help your clients have better skin and know what it is they need to be doing at home. As seasons change, as they're getting a little older, there are things that need to change to be able to help them keep their optimal skin. So these are all really important. Now, a little while ago, as I was massaging, I noticed my steamer was about to go off. So I grabbed a tissue and I pushed the time up a little bit more because I wanted it to go for a little bit longer as I was talking to all of you. The one thing I will say about when you are massaging a client's face, you want to make sure that you have a rhythm that is relaxing for your client, and that your pressure is firm but not too firm. Being too soft is not great either, so it is important to have a nice, comfortable pressure for your client, and your stronger movements are always your movements going up. Whenever you're going down on the face, that should be a lighter pressure. You don't want to be pulling down on the skin, but your pressure is important. So you want to make sure that your stronger moves are always going to be moving upward. This is a zigzag. A lot of people like it when I do the zigzag. Now you see I'm doing a downward move here, but my pressure is very light. So my pressure in my upward moves is always much stronger than my downward moves. And for you new esties out there, it takes practice. But you want to make sure you practice a lot and you really understand the anatomy that what you're working on, where your muscles are of the face. So a lot of pressure going up always. That's where my pressure is. And my downward is always much lighter. Very, very light going down, heavier going up. Very, very light going down, heavier going up. Okay. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a warm towel on. We finished our massage here right now. If you were using ozone on your steamer, you do not put ozone on while you have cream on your face. You use ozone on a clean skin. So in other words, I have my 2 warm towels here. I wash them. I wet them and I put them 2 together at a time so that my towels in my hot cabbie are always in couples, so that they're easier for me to, I'm only going to my hot cabbie once to get out my 2 towels. Now I'm just lightly brushing this off here. Sometimes in laying a towel on a face, this is how I do this here. If I'm going to do it a little bit more, I'm wanting to sort of really get everything off, and usually I'm sort of just doing it like this. Okay, now remember I talked about the wet towels here. You're going to have it around the hairline here as well. As you can see, we've got some hair that's come out from the massage. What I'm going to do, this is going to make a little bit of a noise, and you can let your client know. Now you can either keep this on if it's not feeling too wet around the rim, or you can take it off and just leave the towel on. and you know, you could leave it just so that, and you could move the towel around a little bit more and get to a drier part so the wetness isn't touching their face. And sometimes that's really comfortable to do that, so that's what we're going to do here today. So, and that tucks up under there. And that's a nice, again, nice tight there. So we've got this, we're not going to be using this anymore. I'm going to leave it like that just so you can see. Again, here's my tissue, turning off my steam, and that's something that I can now put over there. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to blot my client's face. So I don't, sorry, that tissue was pulled the wrong way. Here we go, let's try again. I'm just going to blot my client's face. I don't normally do it right by my client's head, but I'm doing it to show you because your client, you know, they can hear everything, and I don't usually have my products over here too close when I'm putting them on my hands either, but I'm showing you because the video it's not going to, obviously you're not going to see, but you don't want to be doing things close to your client's face because, you know, if it's product, you know, just the noise factor is not comfortable. So you want to make sure that the other, you know, that everything you're doing is away from your client so it's not disturbing. You want to keep them relaxed. This tissue that I just wiped off any moisture that might have been there, you might want to go around the nose. Sometimes when you have steam on, there is going to be a little moisture around the nose area, and so it's nice just to blot it dry there. Now, when I tear my tissues, this is again, and I've got it close to the client's face, which is not comfortable for the model. So please don't do that. Have it too close to your client. I'm going to do a little extraction right now, and so we are putting on my bright pink gloves here. I actually often have black gloves. I am allergic to latex, so I cannot use latex gloves because I will be in excruciating pain, itching my hands, and over the next few days if I do that. So it's really, actually that glove there is not working very successfully, so I'm going to get another one. I just blew in it a little bit just to open it up for my hand. Okay, there we go. So before we pull the light over on my model, I'm going to put my goggles on my model here, and then we're going to bring the light over. You want to be very mindful of when you go to turn on your light, that you are not turning it on over your model's face. So that's very important, and because light, all of these things are irritating to your model. And when you wrap your hands, you want to make sure that you've got a tight grip with your tissue here, that it wraps your fingers nicely. I fold the corner of it over. I've shown you how to do this in the past, but you do want to have a nice grip there so you can see what you're doing and you have control, and that's really important. So we are just removing some obvious blackheads, but she's really clean. Her skin is very, very clean. She does a really good job of taking care of her skin, and that is a huge blessing. Now, when somebody has broken capillaries around the sides of the nose, as we mentioned earlier, sometimes they have that from, they could have had hay fever a lot in the past because it's that pressure, you know, when you blow your nose, that could be something that is irritating to the little blood vessel. But they are very easy to have removed, and they disappear. Once they're zapped by the dermatologist, it just withers up that little vein and disappears, and it is as easy as anything to do that. So mind my head. I apologize for all of you in the camera there while I scout around here, check inside the ear, make sure the ear is good, and do my extractions here. When you're doing your extractions, you want to make sure you're being really thorough and that you're getting everything out that you need to be getting out. And sometimes that does require getting up and moving to a different angle, which I'll be doing once I've done my bulk here, bulk of extractions. Okay, just moving over to the other side here now. Make sure you're really sort of checking. Most people that are oily, they get a lot of little blackheads here. Sometimes that does require moving your goggles, but you want to make sure that the eyebrows are good too, that there's not little blackheads there in the eyebrows, because an oily skin person is going to have blackheads and sometimes little congested bumps in the eyebrow area. Always make sure on an oily skin person you are checking the ears, inside the ears a lot of the time. An oily skin person is going to have blackheads inside their ear. And using your little tool to clean that is important. Because a good facial means that you are being thorough and you are doing what is right for your client's skin. And if someone's oily, extractions is really important. It's how I get great results with my treatments, is I do really good, thorough extractions. In some cases, some of my clients call me the extraction queen because I am so thorough, and I believe in extractions very much. Now I'm standing up here now behind my model. I'm trying not to bump the camera, the leg on the camera down here, but just going over here, making sure. Sometimes when I stand up, I can see a little better around the lower jawline down onto the neck area. It's important to check on that also. And either side up here at the either side of the nose, which is good. You can see around the lip. You want to be checking around there. It's very painful to have little blackheads removed from around the lip area. But my model's skin is very, very clean. Sorry, my lamp is a little bit making a little noise there today. The skin is really clean. All right, now if my model had blackheads inside her ear, what the product, the tool I would be using is, I'll show you what that looks like. So I've just taken these out of my sterilizer. But one tool, this one here is very thin. It has a very thin little ring at the end there, a little loop. It's too thin because that one can cut inside the ear. This is also one you do not want to use around the sides of the nose where the skin is thin and she has little burst blood vessels. This one is a thicker hoop. You can probably see that. The metal part there is thicker, and it is safer to use in areas like that. And this one has another one here on the end, but I use this one mostly. And this is one I use inside the ear. Okay. All right. Okay, now what we're going to be doing is, I'm going to be removing my gloves here. And I'm going to be removing my model's goggles as well. And I'm going to be doing a fruit complex number 1 on my model. That's this one here. In the past, I have done the fruit complex number 2. The normalizing formula. The normalizing formula is an AHA that's designed for oily, acnetic skin. And, you know, a year ago or longer than a year ago, my model was, her skin was, she was breaking out a lot more, her pores were larger, a completely different skin. And it's just so beautiful now consistently because of her home care regimen, and just being on the right home care regimen is really important, because people can use a lot of products at home, but they may not be right for them. It's not about the amount of products you use on a face. It's about using the products that are right for your skin. That's really important to understand, because most people need to be able to identify what skin they're working on, and they can't. So this is why it's really important that you understand how to analyze skin. And that's why my 5-Star Method course is so comprehensive. It's going to help you. And any of my webinars, any of my training, my Understanding Skin tours, this is something that is a huge passion of mine, is to help elevate my industry. And by doing that, I need you guys to understand skin. So it's super important to me you understand what you're looking at. This one here is the one I'm choosing to use today because the skin is better. And this one here you can use on all skins, even the most sensitive skins. Shake it a couple of times. Again, usually not here in camera, away from your client. You don't want noise and things going on around your client's face while you're working on them. You also do not want to be applying it close to them in case you accidentally spill it. You want to keep that away from your model. I'm applying this on cotton and it's going all over the face. Now what this fruit complex does is that it has 3 molecules in it, and it has the glycolic. It's a complex of your alpha hydroxy acid, has glycolic, I think it has lactic, and I think it has, the other one is the citrus, and I'm sorry I'm not remembering. It definitely has 3 in it, and I'm thinking it's lactic and not the malic, but it has 3 molecules. You want to make sure when you're putting it on that your cotton isn't too wet. You don't want it dripping down the eye area, but you do want to make sure you're getting it in these areas around the nose, because an oily skin person is going to have open pores all the way up close by the eye. You want to make sure you're doing this area really well, because as I said, an oily skin person is going to have blackheads everywhere. Or certainly open pores, you know, so it's something that you want to make sure that you're using it everywhere on the skin. This one is designed for sensitive skin. You can use it on people, even certain people that have rosacea. It doesn't sting the face a lot. You want to make sure you're doing around the ear. Again, this is important. An oily skin person is going to have blackheads very often here in front of the ear and behind the ear. So you want to make sure that you're kind of getting that area as well. Now, because this particular AHA is designed also for somebody that has wrinkles or brown spots, melasma, any of this scarring, it helps lighten and brighten. So it can totally be used all around these areas here. You can put it onto the neck area, and it's great for sun damage, anything really. It's just a great product. You can fold over your cotton, do a nice one around the lip here, and it's just a really fantastic product. So that's the Fruit Complex #1, and that is a Rejuvian. It's the one I use, you know, 80% of the time on my clients. Oily skins, I'm always going to be doing the normalizing, because this particular product, it's designed especially for oily skin. It has your BHA, your salicylic acid, as well. You know, it's a fantastic product for oily skin. All right, now I'm going to leave that on for a minute. I'm going to get fresh water, cold water. I'm going to get my cryo sticks out of my freezer, and I will be right back. Leaving the camera rolling. Okay, now we've left it on just a couple of minutes. You don't need to leave it on a really long time on the skin. It's not necessary, and sometimes I might leave, if I've got somebody that's more oily, I might leave it on the skin longer, maybe, you know, up to 5 minutes, but they don't need to be on the skin a really long time. That's something that's important to be aware of. And I've just grabbed an alcohol wipe, wiping off my hands here, and we're going to now remove it. Now, I do want cold water, because whenever you do acids on the skin, you do not want to be removing anything that is an acid. You do not want to be removing it with anything warm. So we have cold water here and sponges, my original sponges, my cellulose sponges, and we're just going to be removing that. Now the neck area is a more sensitive area, so you always want to make sure that you don't go too strong on the neck, because the neck is way more sensitive than the face even, and it's an area that you don't want to be too strong with anything down there. Just flipping my sponges over to do around my eye area. Okay, now once I've removed that, I know the skin is going to be tingling a little bit. I've got some more of my healing gel, 97% aloe vera. And I'm putting a light coat of that on the skin. Now, while this is on the skin, I'm going to do a little cryo. It's going to be very cold, and I like to tell my model that it is going to be cold. Now, I'm going to attach this here back up here. It's had a little bit of time here to dry off. I'm going to just sort of attach it around the hairline again here. So I'm going to be doing a mask shortly that is going to require me to have a good tight thing here on the hair, because I don't want the mask to be getting into the hairline. So we have healing gel on the face. That is all I have on the face. The next thing I'm grabbing is my cryo. I have gold and silver cryo. Sometimes you let your client know it's going to be very, very cold. These have been in the freezer and they are cold, and I'm going to be moving them quite quickly. They don't need to be on for a long time, but we're just going to be. And I like to choose my cryo sticks. I usually use the silver ones for really oily acnetic skins, but sometimes depending on the jewelry that my client wears, the coloring of their jewelry, I feel that intuitively they have a feeling about a color that they like of jewelry. So, and sometimes it's just my own intuition. If I feel that gold is nice for my client that day, I just use my gold, or my, you know, whatever I'm feeling, whatever I'm feeling strongly about, it just is my own thing. When I personally am doing cryo on the skin, studying color therapy and doing some different healing things that I've done in my past, I work a lot with the violet flame. The violet color is my healing color, and I imagine and see my violet flame here in my cryo sticks, and I can visualize them healing and sort of going into the skin and healing the skin really nicely. So for me, learning color therapy, understanding about different face mappings, understanding different nutritional and especially color therapy is what I work with a lot when I'm healing. I'm also a Reiki. I've studied Reiki 1 and 2. I've studied kinesiology. I studied bush essences, which in America that is the bark flowers. In Australia it's the Australian bush essences with Ian Yates. I studied with him. It's really a beautiful thing to have many different tools to be able to pull from, and things that you get excited about, you know, learning and just understanding. You want to do and study the tools that make sense to you, that you have a feeling that can really help benefit your treatments, and just do things that you love. That's really important. You know, everything has to make sense, and I say that a lot because it's important that it makes sense to you, because if it makes sense to you, then everything's going to work better. So there's so many wonderful tools out there, and you definitely have a big choice of different tools to be able to work with. So make it all matter. Okay, so we've done a little cryo on the skin. That was very cold and nice for my client. Now what we're going to do is the next mask that I'm doing on the skin. Now the Rejuvi has 2 different masks. We have the Pearl Silk, which has a little bit of the lavender in it. It's a powder mask that you mix, and we also have the seaweed, the sea remineralizing, and the one I'm going to use today is the sea remineralizing. They're both the same, they're both mixed the same, but they're really a beautiful, beautiful mask, and I really like using them. So what you do is you grab a rubber bowl, and you work with a rubber bowl to mix it in. That's what I like to use. I don't like my metal bowls for this type of thing. I like to be able to maneuver them very well around my hands, and so my rubber bowls are really great, and I have several different ones of different sizes, but this is my bowl I'm using here today, and it is a rubber one, so it is very flexible, and I like that. So I'm just going to mix my powder. It comes with a little mixing cup, and I'm going to be putting 2 in my rubber bowl today. 2 scoops. Now they recommend only 1, but I like my mask to be quite thick, and I like it to go down onto the neck area. So I'm using 2 scoops. I'm also going to protect the hairline a little bit. I have my 4x4 gauze, and this is a stretchy gauze that I've already ripped it to just lay around my headpiece here, because I don't want the mask getting on the towel. It's not easy to wash the mask out. So this one here I'm putting around the sides here of the neck, and I'm putting it down here so that again it doesn't go onto my towels, and if anything drips down, I'm protecting it. The other thing that you want to protect is their eyes, and initially I'm just going to dampen my my little pads here. Again, it's these gauze pads that, as I mentioned earlier, are very flexible. I can stretch them and put them over the eyes, and that's just going to protect from the mask seeping down into the eye area. And I do sort of maneuver them around a little bit, so I like to get the mask up close to the eyes. So we have that to protect the eyes there. Now I'm ready to mix my water into my product. You want to get the face ready first, before you go ahead and start mixing, because once you start mixing, the solution will start to dry. Now I've got my little beakers here. So as I mentioned, 1 cup of the powder, I put 2 in here. With every cup you use 3 cups, 2 to 3 cups of water. So it's a little bit over double water to the powder. So I've already got my water in a beaker up here. I like to use you know, drinking water or distilled water that has been you know, that is a nice water. I'm not going to just use tap water. So I'm going to mix this in. There's my powder in my bowl. I'm mixing the water in here, and it's going to be very runny for a while. Now I have a little bit more because I had 2 scoops, so I've got almost 6. I'm going to put almost 6 of the 2 to 6 water, 2 scoops, but this is not quite 6. As you can see, it's very, very runny here, but it doesn't take long for it to start to thicken. So I mentioned I wanted to have quite a lot of powder mix because I'm going to take it down onto her neck. And again, I'm only mixing this in front of the camera here because so you can see what I'm doing, and it does take a while to mix, so you do have to be patient. This is a really good seaweed sauce, and although it's a little, you know, you've got to be patient when mixing it, it's a really beautiful, beautiful seaweed, and it just has so many minerals and nutrients in it. I absolutely love it. But normally I would not be mixing it next to my client's head because I don't want my client hearing and she's going to be wondering what the heck I'm doing. So I usually tell them I'm mixing a mask, and but I'm not usually doing it next to her head because the noise is not okay to be doing that. I would usually have it quite a distance away, and I'm using a tongue depressor. Again, I want as much disposable as possible. I have a towel service, a linen service called Image First, and that they come and pick up my towels and my linens and bring me all freshly ironed and everything, beautiful linens. And I really like having a towel service. Carrying towels home that are wet and doing laundry for my business was just too much work for me, and also really hard as you get older. As I'm in my 60s now, it's important to, you know, take care of your hands, take care of your back, just take care of yourself in every way you can. So okay, so we're mixing here. It's starting to get a little bit thicker, but as you can see, I'm still mixing, so it is taking a little while. So I don't want to put it on too runny because it's all going to end up running down off the face, but I did want to use more than normal, and I've added a little bit of extra water. If you want it to be a little thicker and happen for you faster, don't add as much water as I did. Again, it was 1 scoop to 3 scoops of water, and I used about 5 scoops of water to my 2 scoops. So if I had done 4 scoops, which I might do next time, by the way, it wouldn't be taking me quite as long to mix it. But you want to get all the little bits of the seaweed mixed well. It's just a beautiful, beautiful product. And as we know, seaweed is so detoxifying. It really helps. I love using seaweed on more oily skins. It just offers so many nutrients, and with the algae and minerals, and it's just so healing and just a beautiful, beautiful mask to use on a more oily skin person. The difference between this one and the Pearl Silk is that the Pearl Silk does have little bits of lavender in, these little pieces of lavender inside the mask, and the Pearl Silk is more brightening. So if somebody has melasma or some scarring, the Pearl Silk, I could totally use either one on my model today. Both would be beautiful, but I've chosen the seaweed. And it smells like seaweed too. Just if you're wondering, because you can't smell it up there, Okay, it's still pretty runny. In fact, it's a little bit too runny for me. I would prefer to not be this runny. The nice thing about it is here, I use my scooper here. I kind of flatten it so that I just want to make sure that's tight against the eye there. We do not want, as I sort of pour this onto the face, I do not want it to be going under that, under those pads. So we are pouring this on here. As I said, a little bit runny for me. Prefer it not to be as runny. Now you want to be very careful when you're putting it around the nose, but an oily skin person is going to have blackheads right up to the tip, right? So everything you do, you want to make sure you're covering it. The other thing is I want to be putting it above the lip, but you want to leave that till last. You don't want it to be too runny when you are putting the mask on the lip. You don't want it to be going into the nostril. That will be very uncomfortable for your client. So do be very careful around the mouth as well, because if you get it on the mouth, it's going to be a little uncomfortable. And I know some masks, when they're put on the face, they do like to put it all around the mouth or over the mouth area. But for me, I don't like that feeling personally, so I'm not going to do it to my client. But could it be something nice for the lips? Yes, it could be. Absolutely could be. So it's not to say that it's wrong. And I've put quite a thick coat on here, as you can see on the face. I don't really have enough to go down onto the neck, as I put on quite a thick coat on here. So it's okay, so we have that on the face. You want to make sure the thickness of it, again, I'm scraping here by my client's head, and I don't like to do that normally, because you know, your client can hear everything and you want it to be comfortable, so you don't want to be doing things by their head. You want to be turning around and doing it away, but I'm just showing you what I'm doing here. So the other thing is, once you've finished applying everything on your model's face, you want to wipe this out as quickly as you can, because once this starts to set, it's very, very hard to get it out. And then if you've got a sink, you don't want to be washing it down your sink, because your sink is going to get clogged. So again, I'm showing you close here in the camera so you can see everything I'm doing, but I would prefer not to be doing that next to my client's face, guys, okay? You know, you want to be doing everything away from their face, so then you can clean it out where it gets really nice and clean, and now you just have to wash the bowl. But at least it's not going to dry inside the bowl. Now, what I like to do on my model is, once I've got it on the face, I've got my 4x4 gauze, and I like to, this is great, this is this gauze. I have the smaller ones for the iPads, which I'm really enjoying using. This is the other 4x4 gauze. You can open this up, and these are the 4x4 squares, right? Now, I like to use this on my client. I've already ripped a couple of them in half over here before I started, so I would be prepared. And this is nice because you can stretch it, and what I like to do is I like to lay this on the skin. Again, it stops this mask from, it's pretty dry now, from running, but I also want to press down on the face so that I can just mold it to my model's face. So I've got 4 of these. I've just broken them in half, and I'm putting it down here on my model's face, stretching it a little bit, putting it down like this on my model's face, and that's now going to allow me to push down on my model's face. I've got these other pieces that were around protecting the hair. I'm going to fold that up as well onto the face like this, and now it's given me a nice barrier to just push down onto the face. Now, the other thing that I like to do is where she has, I've put the one across the lip here, I'm going to tear, and again, I'm doing this by you, so you can see what I'm doing, but I wouldn't normally be doing this next to my client's ears. This fluffy bit, the torn bit, I do not want this by their nose because these little fibers are going to be irritating, okay? So what I'm doing is I'm going to fold it over so that's underneath, and I'm going to be laying it across the lip like this, and that way I can push down on the lip. I can really mold this beautifully to the face, all around the nose, here between the eyebrows, and really kind of mold it around the eye area. It just makes it, molding it to the face just makes a lot of sense to me, to be able to really sort of get it in there and do that. So that's what I like to do when I am doing this mask. Okay, now while this is on, I'm going to flip my towel over just in case it's a little bit wet along the edges here. I'm going to flip it over like this. I do have the corner of these towels. You don't want this touching your client's skin ever. So I've got this on the outside there, but I'm going to pull it up a little bit and just fold this down. I'm going to move these here. I don't need these anymore, although I did see some of this mask. It went down onto the towel, which you want to try and get the bulk of it off because it's very, very hard to get off once it sets off your linens. So I want to pull this down. I want to pick my pillow up here, and you can just keep your head right there for me. Pick the pillow up here just so I can get this towel so she doesn't have any moisture touching her there, any dampness. We do not want that, especially coming into the winter months. It's nice to have a heater on your table. If you are somebody that, I love having a heater. A lot of my clients love it on their back. And the only time that I don't like to have, things too hot is if my client has a lot of heat, or if they're going through menopause and sometimes the blanket's on, it's off, they get hot, cold. So you just want to sort of keep everything as comfortable for your client as possible. Let them know in the beginning if anything needs to be moved, to be adjusted, please let you know. But this now we are going to leave on my model's face. I'm going to get some clean water, take this over to the sink. Once I get some clean water, I'm going to put it back in my hot cabbie, which my hot cabbie has a little sterilizing light in there, which only really sterilizes the outer part of the surface. So, but I like to keep it in there to keep my water warm, and also my goggles and things. Sometimes while I'm working on my client, I like to keep it in there, just again, sterilizing the surface. I have a little section in my hot cabbie for that. So now while this mask is on, I'm going to do a foot massage. I'm going to be turning just the camera around so you can see exactly what I'm doing. I'm not shutting the camera down. You're watching me do the full treatment live here today, and right now I am cleaning off my water, getting fresh water in here, rinsing off my sponges, and that is all going to be going into my hot cabbie right now. Okay, now before I do the feet, before I touch feet with my hands, I get a warm towel out of my hot cabbie, and that is how I massage the feet. So what we're doing, I'm moving the camera down here now on the bed. You can see down here underneath the bed. I can't even see what you can see as I'm moving the camera. Okay, but down here, you can see I have a towel on a bath mat, and that towel I'm going to pull out at the very end so that my model can step down onto a towel, a nice clean towel, which I put over my bath mat so that she has a nice towel. So you can see that down there. Okay, so now what we're doing is, you can see my table is this beautiful table under here that's got the drawers, and it's just beautiful. I keep all my linens under there, and I really love my EquiPro table. So we're moving this down here to the feet, and I'm going to show you how I do my foot massage. Okay, my warm towel, folding back my blanket and my sheets here, right? Here we have our feet hiding under here. Okay, so here, a warm towel, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to separate her feet because I'm going to be massaging, but I do like to always wipe the feet off with a warm towel before I start, and that is what I do. Okay. Go in between the toes, I go around the ankles here, and there we go. Okay, so now I've wiped them off with a towel, and they are a little bit wet, right? So we are going to cover one foot back up over here with the blanket, and I'm going to be just taking the sheet up here. Now you want to be cupping the leg so that your client feels comfortable. You don't want to be pulling it back too, but I like to do up around the knee area because I myself, I have a bigger knee and I have some fat on my knee. So me personally, when people massage my legs, I like them to do my knee. And it's especially that inner part of the knee, this inner part up here with this flesh. I'm going to be massaging it as hard as I can on myself when I do my own, but on a client, I think it's really nice to be mindful. The knee is an area that gets dry. It can sometimes get dark in color. The cream I'm using here, the body lotion I'm using, is one that is the Rejuvi one. Again, I have the very large sizes of it here, and I love this body lotion also. It's just a really great product. My clients love it. And so we're going to be, now this table has a really beautiful arch that I can adjust, and I'll show you at the end. So in the beginning, I like to spread my cream onto the leg. And I'm using this part here of my hand as we massage the feet. Now this part of the foot, the ankles always get quite dry, so it's really nice to make sure you are massaging this area here well, the ankle, around the ankle, right? Now this part here, right here, you want to make sure this femur bone here, you want to make sure, especially if someone's pregnant, you don't want to be doing too much massage here, because this, they say, can really help bring on birth, you know, so you want to be sort of careful and sensitive of that area, especially if you have a female client that's pregnant. And we're going to do our little circles up here with my thumbs. I'm using my little circles up here, and the balls up here of the feet, under the toes, and just working in between the knuckles there. Now this bed's a little bit high for me to get down to the knee. The nice thing about having a bed that you can really adjust like this is that when you're doing foot massages, you know, as a body technician, you've got to be careful and take care of your own back when you're doing massage. So the great thing about this is that I can lower the bed down like this, right? And I can really adjust it or pick it up, you know, for somebody that it's nice for your client to be able to have their legs raised. But this is just my favorite bed. I absolutely love this bed. It's very, very cushiony and the most comfortable bed. And you can do a little bit up here by the knee. And I'm bending my knees as I do this so I am not injuring my own back, okay? So now we have the sheet. Now you want to be mindful, you don't want to get anything on your blankets. My sheets cover my blanket very well so that I am able to reuse my blankets. I do not, everything is covering my model here. Covering that foot back up. Undoing this other foot here. And tucking it in here by the knee, moving this foot out a little bit here so you have plenty of leverage there. Now we've already cleaned this foot off, so I have my lotion again. Sometimes just rubbing it together in your hands warms the lotion up a little bit, which is very nice and comfortable. Okay, we've done a foot massage there now. I'm just going to wash my hands behind you. Okay. And what I will do is I will just show you right behind you here. I'm going to just turn this around. I've covered the feet here. The blanket, I don't like to let it pull down on the feet because it's hard on the tops of the toes, so I always tuck the blanket up when my client sits down the table. I'm going to up this now again for her knees So we're going to pull this up a little bit here now, the table up, so that it's more comfortable there. And usually they like their legs to be a little higher. This is my sink right here, see? This is what I have at my sink right now. I have little disposable combs, shower caps. I've got some leave-in hair conditioner, some Virtue dry shampoo. I love Virtue. My dear friend Adair is the one really that helped formulate Virtue. Love this product. And of course my client Jennifer Garner is also a huge supporter and loves it as well. So this is my sink. Right, we are moving back over here now. There's my view. I'll show you my view of my outside, which is, not that you can see very much out there, but there you go. It's my outside, my window. I just recently got some beautiful shades over top of here. I've got a stronger shade that's a solid shade that I can wind down on my window. Pull it all the way down, because when I don't want any light at all coming in. And here we are back with my model, the mask. Okay, I think we had a different angle. Let me pull it up here. Yeah, okay, there we go. Different angle. All right, well, that was a journey. Okay, so we are back. I'm going to get ready to now remove this mask and just clean up a little bit here behind me as I start to prepare for taking off her treatment mask, and then get the products ready that I'm going to be putting on her skin after this. Here's what I'm going to be doing next. I'm going to wash my little rubber bowl that I need to do, put my goggles that I've wiped off, put them into, I was wiped them with alcohol, rinse them and put them into my hot cubby. And that's what we are preparing to do here now. So I'm just going to rinse out my bowl over here. Use a little soap on that. We'll go through another clean before it goes into its place in my cupboard. Okay, now we are back here. I'm going to get ready to take off the mask, and you'll be able to see what I do here. I'm going to prepare what I'm going to be putting on her skin afterwards, which is a little healing gel, a little bit of my retinoid formula, and I'm going to use the white cream on her as some moisturizer. So here we go. We're going to just pull this down a little bit here on the neck, get ready to take this off, let her know that I'm here behind her. And by putting my hands gently on her face, she knows that it's likely I'm going to be getting ready to take the mask off now that I've sort of come back here and sat down. You can leave the mask on for as long as, you know, it should be on at least like 10 minutes, up to 20, 25 minutes. The thicker you leave the mask when you go to apply it, the quicker it's going to dry. So this one here is not quite ready to come off. I can feel it. It's still a little bit too wet on the skin. So I really need to leave it on a little bit longer. Let me see how much we can. Yeah, well, we'll take off the bulk. You'll be able to see the bulk of it, but in an ideal world, I would normally like to leave it on the skin a little bit longer. Okay, so we've taken off there. There's just usually little bits around the nose, around the mouth area, and often sort of around the outside by the hair as well. So I'm just going to get my sponges out of my hot cubby. Now what I wanted to say, once you remove this mask, you don't want to be wiping the whole face, because you want to leave the nutrients on the skin from the mask itself, because it just offers, like I said, a lot of nutrients, a lot of minerals, the algae, the seaweed. But I'm just removing any little excess bits here that are left, and we are not going to be wiping it all off the face. So I'm just removing a little bit that I see somewhere around the chin, under here, Okay, that's all we are taking off here. But look how gorgeous her skin looks after taking off that mask. Just absolutely beautiful. So now what I'm doing is I'm putting on a little bit of healing gel, which is a great base for an oily skin. And we're putting a little bit of this on the face. Her eye area looks beautiful. Brighten that up even more. She's just been doing a great job of taking care of her skin. I'm going to put on, the next product I'm going to be putting on is a little bit of the eye gel. I love the Rejuve eye gel. It's such a great product. Putting that on the skin here. You want to make sure you are not double dipping, and if you have to go back into your pot, you're using a different end of your Q-tip. Going to work that in a little bit. You want to make sure your eye product you're putting in a complete circle all the way around your eye, and that means including up here underneath your eyebrow bone. This area up here gets dry and it really needs, it sometimes gets sun, so you want to make sure that you're really protecting. Now I'm going to use a little bit more retinol on her. I'm going to be putting a good sunblock on her, but I want her to, I'm going to mix and put a little bit of this on. A bit of retinol. Just is really wonderful for the healing. And I love it. So we're putting that on her skin. And the next now is put that little bit of excess on my hands here. Next product we are doing is I'm taking the Y moisturizer, and that's going to be the moisturizer that I'm using today. I love this moisturizer. It is the light moisturizer, and it's just really a great moisturizer. Love it. Okay, we've got that on. The last product we're going to be putting on is going to be the sunblock. Putting the sunblock on here right now. Now this is a tinted sunblock. Oh, sorry, that's not the sunblock. That's exfoliating mask. Same tube. Let me take that off. We do not need that. Sunblock is right here. This one is a tinted SPF 40. And we're going to be putting this on the skin now. Slightly tinted. It also comes in just the clear white, which just goes into the skin. Now the areas you want to be really mindful of when you're putting sunblock on, and for people that have melasma, you want to go back and put 2 or 3 coats on the areas where there's melasma. But the areas you want to make sure that you are getting sunblock and doing a nice job with its application are going to be areas like right here, underneath the eyebrow bone, because this area here gets sun and often has little freckles, because a lot of people are not great about putting sunblock in this area here. The high cheekbone up here, a lot of people get melasma in these areas up here too, on their high cheekbone, because this is an area that's really getting sun. So it's an area that you want to make sure that you are putting that extra coat up there right by the eye, above the cheekbone, up here, making sure you sort of really doing a nice job of putting your sunblock there. The nose, because the nose gets sun, because it protrudes from the face, so it's an area that always gets sunburnt. The chin. And if somebody is on a contraceptive pill or has slight darkening around the mouth, You want to make sure wherever they have their melasma, if they're a little blotchy, forehead, often up here, especially when people don't have bangs, this area up here that protrudes is half of the forehead. You'll often see this area up here darker in skin color with little fine lines because it's an area that has got more sun. Okay, now the last thing I like to put on my model's face is a lip gloss, and I use different ones, but right now I'm using a mild one that I don't necessarily, you know, it's nice. This is what it's called, Pitch Stick, believe it or not, that is what it's called. I always have different lip glosses in here, and sometimes I'm just using the Rejuve Super Soothing Cream as well on somebody that's got really dry lips. But this one here is what I'm using today, and it's just a light little lip balm that I like to put on. My client's lips get a little dry from the treatment. We are now removing this here. You can see how gorgeous her skin looks. I'm going to be taking the towel, I'm going to wipe just around a little bit around the hairline here. I'll just wipe over the brows again with my fingers, and we have a beautiful, beautiful skin. There is my model. All right, guys, I'm gonna move on the camera over here. I'm going to slide myself down on my chair. I have finished. Find my little sliding down move here as far as I can go, and I just wanted to see you all and say thank you for being here with me today. My model, thank you for coming in and being here. It's so great to see you. I hope you all have a beautiful rest of your year, and see you all again really soon. Okay, thanks for being here. Bye-bye.